Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our next webinar today. We'll be starting in just a moment. Perfect. So before we get going, I'd just like to introduce Thrively, go over a few important details just to ensure a smooth, enjoyable webinar experience for everyone. So you've probably heard us say this before. Thrively was founded on a core philosophy that every child has a genius and they deserve to thrive. Our saying is, what's strong with you, not what's wrong with you. Our core mission is to bring a paradigm shift in education through asset-based learning. At Thrively, we've created the industry's first strengths assessment to unlock the positive learning identities and strengths of every learner to help increase their confidence and self-esteem. We measure hope as a cognitive trait with our Hope Index, which helps develop agency and resilience. And lastly, we ensure emotional security with our Wellbeing Index. We do this by creating strengths-based, joyful, and hopeful learning environments that impact academic outcomes. Let's get going. So today's session is going to be 30 minutes long. We'll explore how educators are empowering their entire teams with tools, resources, and a mindset to embrace strengths-based education and how that's transforming student engagement and achievement. So feel free to use the Q&A box at any time during the presentation. Submit your questions. We'll address as many as possible at the end of our time, but feel free to use the chat for general questions. We'll be sending you guys a webinar certificate to the email you registered with about 48 hours after the webinar. So just keep an eye on your inbox. And then we'll also be sending you a recording of today's webinar, along with any resources we start to go over during our presentation. Links to you. For those of you who are school-based educators hoping to pilot Thrively, so we'll be putting a QR code within our chat just as an option, quick survey to win a free piloting account. It's an opportunity for you to introduce us to your principal and just for us to make some connections. So thank you. Thank you again for joining us today. We hope you enjoy the webinar, so let's get going. So for our learning journey today, we're going to be going into expanded learning in Westminster School District. We'll be looking at Thrively as a transformative resource for after-school programs, and then leadership in action. So looking at inspiring staff through support and a vision. We'll be going over lessons learned and best practices, and then right at the end, we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. So just brief introductions. We're very fortunate to have Peter Barajas and Laura Costa here today. Thank you both for joining us. Just a quick introduction for each of us. I'll start. My name's Danielle Horning. I have been in education for about 6 years. I was a reading intervention teacher, a preschool teacher, and then a sixth grade teacher for about 4 years, where I was able to utilize Thrively in the classroom. And then I'll hand it over to you, Peter.
Hi, everyone. Peter Barajas, better known as Mr. Peter to staff and students and just colleagues. As it says there, I've been in education for over 3 decades. I was a program supervisor, and I had the pleasure to serve over 2,000 students and about 200 staff. Before that, I started as a substitute, then became a frontline staff where I was only able to reach 20 students. And then I became a program supervisor where I took a program from 30 students and turned it into 160. So then I had the pleasure to serve 160 students and about 12 staff. And now my goal is, to be able to serve thousands of students and thousands of staff, especially with our program here at Thrively. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Peter. And then Laura, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Laura Costa. I also work with Westminster School District with the Extended School Program. I literally grew up in the last 25 years working with this program alongside with Mr. Peter, who is one of my major role models. And I went also started off as frontline staff. I honestly kind of had to be pushed a little bit and encouraged to want to become a site supervisor because I was kind of a little too comfortable just being with one group of kids, and I was a little nervous. But with role models like Mr. Peter, I was able to gain that confidence that I needed in order to be a site supervisor and become successful at it and learn and be willing to continue to learn and just provide the best possible environment for our students.
Thank you for adding that, Laura. No, it's just amazing. I feel like when you do have people around you that push you and support you to, just go out of the comfort zone and go for it.
Yeah, I definitely needed that, but I'm glad that they did, and I'm glad to be where I am right now.
Yeah, thank you. Just as we begin, I want to look at Westminster School District. Peter, if you don't mind giving us a little bit of background information just on the overall school district.
Absolutely. As you can see there, we serve nearly 8,200 elementary students. It's actually infant all the way to 8th grade. And we do have a high percentage of English language learners. Our main consistency is Vietnamese and Spanish learners. We also I think that it says 73, but I think we're a little higher. We're close to the 80% in the free and reduced lunch. And also all our schools this last school year became Title I schools. In regards to after school programs, we focus, as you see there, on the 5 C's and other initiatives. But I also wanted to touch that in our district we have two different types of after school programs. We have the districts program, and then we have the ACES program. Within the district program, what does that mean? It means all the people that work in what's called ESP, the extended school program, the district program. All the staff are district employees. It's all they all run, and they're all hired through the district. And that we have 14 sites, 14 programs out of our 15 schools. And then we also offer ACES. And ACES, we have two agencies. We have our Abrazar, which they run 5 school sites. And then we have our Boys and Girls Club, which run 6 sites. Altogether, we offer 25 before school and after school programs throughout the district. So that means some of our schools have dual after school programs on site.
That's amazing. Well, I know you guys have a dual immersion program within your campuses as well, correct?
So we have a dual Vietnamese, and we have a dual Spanish. And actually next year, they're increasing that and adding 2 more sites that are going to be dual.
That's going to be amazing. That's awesome. Just looking at your guys's expanded learning program, I wanted to look at, what does that expanded learning mean to you and your team, and how did you really bring that vision to life?
Perfect. So what did it mean to myself and to our team? And I think Laura touched on one of the areas. Is the main thing that it means is that we build the capacity of our staff, that we encourage our staff to grow, and that we provide professional development to our staff, to be able to grow and be the best staff for the students. It also means that we provide a safe place for students to be. It also means that we provide a place for students to be with their friends and also make new friends. And then we also look at that we provide a place where students can have fun but learn at the same time. And that's where our focus came, where learning meets fun. And that's kind of something that we drill in every staff as we hire and then they stay in our program. It's learning meets fun. Could they have one without the other? No, they could be having fun and not learning anything, but then they could be learning a lot and not having fun, and then that becomes boring, and they don't want to do it. So the main is, also to provide a place for our students to explore, and also to provide a place where students can grow, and also to provide a place where we help the students develop as a whole child. And then also, yes, and I'm going to say it, also provide homework assistance. At one time, and this is where our focus changed. At one time, our after school programs were seen as homework and childcare. And that's something that we worked very hard to work on, to saying, we are more than just homework and childcare. We are here to develop the child as a whole. We are here to help the child become a positive role model in society. We are here to help the child become the best that they could be. And that is our goal of our team, and they all embrace it. And when we do our PDs and our professional development, that's kind of the one of the items that we touch on is we keep that on the surface. Why are we here? Why do we work here? And what is the purpose of the program? And we just reinforce it and keep it on the surface. So that's what it means to work in the Westminster School District before school and after school programs.
Oh, that's amazing. Um, you know, looking at how you started with first started with Thrively, I'm curious what were your goals? And then, just how you guys started out, what were your intentions for utilizing Thrively?
I'm gonna be honest with you. It was mainly, it's Thrively. The mentality, as you know, with any staff and any groups. Oh, something new on our plate, something else that we have to do. So the main goal of Thrively was, okay, use it at the minimum of once a week, implement it, and that's all we ask. Once a
Mhm.
week, right? And then as we started going through our trainings, our PDs, we always went over the what, in this case Thrively, and then the why. And then
Mhm.
once we started going over the why and understanding that it was something more than just not adding to their plate, but really making it easier, making their job easier, but helping what's on their plate. And
Mhm.
then after that we moved to the how. And as we started to implement Thrively, the goal didn't change, but miraculously what changed was how some site supervisors started to use it.
Mhm.
Them on their own started to explore it more, and one day became twice a week, 3 times a week, and they started to see the results. So it became to where when we started meeting, because we would have meetings and share out, and it
Mhm.
became to where Thrively, we could use Thrively, to build stronger relationships within
Mhm.
student to student, staff to students, staff to staff. We could use the data from Thrively to provide strength-based learning. And this started coming from the staff, not the supervisors, but just everybody in general, and the ways that we're using it. The other thing that came out of it is we could use the data to meet the grant requirements. We could
Mhm.
actually use Thrively in we have what's called a grant, a CCTR grant, a state grant, and we also have the LOP, which is pretty general in California. And we were able to say, okay, we can use Thrively and align the activities in Thrively to meet the needs of the grant. And then that way it's less work for you to go back and have to track all that. Now Thrively is doing it for us. So again, as we kept using Thrively, we kept finding out that we could use it for different areas. We got to the point to where summer is big for us. Believe it or not, we do 10 weeks of summer, and we are open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we're one of the only districts that are open that long and that many hours. And guess what? Hey, we have all the information on Thrively. Why don't we see what the students, what they like, what their interests are, and we started using from there planning for summer as well. Now it's intentional planning for the students, and guess what that provides for is now the students are more engaged. The students are looking forward to come because it's something that they're interested in. So again, it was going back and looking at Thrively just started to evolve on its own, without us having to push it as the site supervisors and the staff started seeing the results. We also use Thrively to say, oh, let's have all our staff also take the assessment. Oh, that provided information for themselves and for us. Knowing their strengths and knowing, this person has a strength over here. We could plug that person to take care of this area for the program, this area for summer. We also started using it because we do non-school days, which is spring camp, winter camp, fall camp. We used it for planning and again, so that now it was intentional planning and also to be able to meet the needs of the students and get a higher engagement and involvement from the students. So it just provided a more fun and a place where students were actually feeling like they were being heard because now we were actually implementing something that they wanted to do or something that they wanted to be part of.
Yeah, yeah. And you really touched on, looking at student voice and how they can be heard, right? And utilizing their strengths, their interests, and their aspirations to really guide what you guys are doing. That's amazing. I want to just share the next slide. So these are some images from Sequoia Academy. Shout out to Cleo out there. She sent us some images of some activities. And this is where I'd like, Laura, you can chime in too, just on how sites are utilizing Thrively in different ways. I know for Clio, she said they use it for different challenges. I know for the pictures that we see here, they were supposed to work with their team to raise a pencil to the tallest person's height. She said it was very entertaining. So yeah, what kind of things are you guys utilizing at Mears, Laura?
So we definitely have the daily where they either do their check-ins or my lead, Mr. James, he's really good about assigning them individual activities. He knows the kids so well, so he'll know he won't just assign like a general activity to an entire group. He knows them well enough to say, okay, this one's gonna like this activity, this one not so much. So he'll assign different activities to them. For the little ones, it honestly, the main challenge we had was getting the parents to do the strength assessment. And also with TKK, getting them to log in and do an activity on the computer, that's a little bit of a struggle. So what I did at Mears was we have ViewSonics, we have gigantic ViewSonics in the room. We treat it as a group activity, whereas that way it's not necessarily, since they can't do it individually, that's not a problem. We did it as a group. So depending on, we talk about characteristics of the month, whether it be empathy, friendship, gratitude, courage, all those things, we will kind of center it, the activity off of Thrively based on what we're talking about that month. And with the littles, it's really cool because, they're TK and they're kinders, and a lot of people were under the assumption that this was going to be too hard for them or too challenging. And that's not the case. Honestly, they love it. They really get into it. The teachers are noticing they're talking more about all the social emotional learning, all the things that they're learning. And then the staff, staffing is staffing, so it's usually consistent, but sometimes we have subs. What the subs like about it is it's so easy to navigate and to implement. They're not stressing out trying to figure out how am I going to do this activity with a bunch of 4.5 and 5-year-olds for 45 minutes. And there's so much to it that they don't get bored of it, which helps a lot. They don't get tired of it. Even my 5th graders, who you and I were talking earlier about, that 5th and 6th grade where they kind of like get less and less interested, they really enjoy it. They really have a good time with it.
That's amazing. And I know this was one of the pictures that you shared with me, Laura, just, surrounding your guys' strengths and really highlighting that in the classrooms. So I did want to ask, what's a successful strengths-based activity that you guys have implemented on campus?
We've honestly done a lot, but one thing that stood out is, particularly at my site, we have so many of the kids are little artists. They love to draw, whether it's scribbling or doing a full-on activity. There's not a day where you can't find them drawing. And I love art because it's so you can express yourself individually. So we took one of the activities, instead of them doing it on the computer and just drawing their own answer, we did it as a group. And to figure out the commonalities, I told everyone, I said, okay, guys, close your eyes and I'm going to ask you a question. Raise your hand if you love art. And
Mhm.
literally 98% of my group raised their hands. So I told them to open their eyes, and they looked around. And just by doing that alone, they realized how much they have in common with what they love to do and what they enjoy. So we went from there, and we did a collage activity that's on Thrively. And we had some kids that struggle a little bit with art, and some kids that are just full on artists right now. So we kind of took it as a teaching opportunity where I grouped them at the tables. So the ones that felt super confident in their ability got to teach, and then vice versa. So they really enjoyed that a lot.
I love that. I love that you gave them the opportunity to teach others too, and looked at, who's the leader here, who has the confidence to be able to kind of, take a stance here. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I know we had some other images here of just looking at their strengths. And I know you kind of touched on this earlier, but would you mind just letting us know what students' reaction was to having that What's Strong With Us poster on there with their names?
Yeah, so the first slide, that's a room we already have a much larger space to post all the certificates. And I like it because also the teachers use that room, so they get to see what we're doing. This is in our main classroom. I like the fact that all the strengths were on one poster, and we could just write the kids' names on there, so I can redo it every school year. The kids really like seeing it. They like seeing their names up there. They like the fact that not only did we have them take the assessment, but we actually displayed, kind of where they fell. And then they start talking to each other and like, wait a minute, like you're in that one too, and we have this one in common and that one in common. I think it really helps. I think when I was growing up, the focus wasn't so much on what our strengths were. It was more our weaknesses or our lacking skills. This really reverses that, and it focuses more on what they are good at, and they can take that and scaffold and build on it. And literally, just whether it's a certificate or just seeing their name up there, it seems to really light them up.
Awesome. That's awesome. I love, thank you for sharing the impact it's having on them. You kind of touched on this, just looking at, students building connections with one another. I was curious, do you feel like has Thrively supported your staff in building stronger connections with students, and just creating more, I would say, effective learning experiences for them?
Yeah, I mean, like Ms. Peter said, anything that new that we introduce, it first gets looked at as we're adding more to them, and why do we have to do this? But like you and I were talking earlier, and Mr. Peter hit on it. One of the major things we focus on is the why. Why are we here? Why am I getting up every day and coming in and putting all my heart and my soul into this? Because this is not just a job. So on that note, the staff, I'm very fortunate to have staff, my team at Mears, that they also, their heart is in it and they see the importance of it. They don't look at it as a task or just a job or something we have to do. We present it as something, something, first of all, it's fun. The kids enjoy it. The activities are not redundant. They're constantly being new and updated, and the kids generally enjoy doing the activities. They don't so much, some of them fight you on like, do I have to answer the questions or do I have to type it out? Because they're kids, that's what they're gonna do. But it's the fact that, like I said, they're seeing their strengths, they're seeing something like positive to focus on. And then with the staff, we didn't treat it as you have to do this. We treated it as, like Mr. Peter said, we kind of snuck it in there a little bit once or twice a week into the curriculum. And then we kind of ease their way up to, okay, this with the littles, we can do this as a group activity once or twice a week. With the kids that log in, we basically say, okay, during homework time, you have a 45-minute homework stretch. You finish homework early, go ahead and log into Thrively, see what activities Mr. James has assigned to you, do one or two, and that's it. And since we're not forcing it on them, but we're also encouraging them to have fun with it, I think that helps.
Yeah, giving them a little bit more control over that, I think, is great.
Yeah.
Because they're sitting in a classroom all day and they're kind of like, okay, I want to move, I want to have some choice here.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I want to kind of look at just looking at the leadership behind all of this. Um, and I know, Peter, you touched on that, you were overlooking quite a few schools. I believe you said 12, right? So looking at, I just want to see what strategies helped your team stay consistent and just excited about using the platform just throughout the whole school year.
Yes, I can do that. And it's actually, it's 16 schools, and 14 is the district, and the other, it's ACES, where it's combined dual sites. But yeah, so I was able to provide support to all of them, and one of the things that we done, even before Thrively, and that was, regardless if it was a district program or an outside agency, we would have what's called our monthly PLCs, and then we also did our trainings together. We did our professional development together. So regardless, you wouldn't be able to know if you work for the Boys and Girls Club, if you worked for Abrazar, or if you worked for the district. We're all serving all the students, and all the students need to get the same benefit regardless of what program or what school. And some of the key trainings, as you see here, I did key trainings on safety. I did key trainings on leadership with Orange County Department of Ed. I did key trainings on the learning environment with Lakeshore, but also key trainings with Thrively. And one of the first one that you need to do is the culture of action, and that goes back to that trying to do that paradigm shift of, oh, another thing I have to do, right? And it talks about how our mind automatically goes to thinking the worst, negative, and being able to switch that. And how do we go from that to actually, what does it look like to actually go to action? Is it just saying, "Oh yeah, I did it," and you only did it with one or two students, and that's done? Or is it actually going and navigating the site and having the students doing the activities and being able to see the results? And another key piece to it is not only the trainings but the professional development, but also we would have our weekly site supervisor meetings, and that's where we would share out. One of the topics was Thrively. What did you do? What have you done at your site? What's working? What's not working? And from there, from those share outs, other site supervisors would get ideas and like, oh, I haven't tried that. Let me try that. Oh, I didn't think of using it for that, right? Or oh, that's right. Some of the stuff that didn't work. Oh, some of the Chromebooks weren't charged, so we had to do a group activity instead of individual activity. So again, problem solving. So it was going back to involving everybody, getting everybody's input, and the buy-in. But it always went back to the why. Why Thrively? Why are we using Thrively? And it goes back to with using Thrively, it help us to have everything in one location, which again makes it easier for site supervisors, makes it easier for me as a program supervisor, right? It's all in one place, and it also encompasses everything. I wrote down here, it encompassed our focus, which was academic, right? That was, yes, that's one of the pieces, but it also focused on the self and social development. All the activities are there, all the resources are there. It also helped with the health and safety development. All that was on Thrively, right? It also helped amplify the youth voice and leadership. That was big. That was big because the staff, the site supervisors and the staff were able to see that now through Thrively, they know their kids' strengths, and now they can they can go, okay, this kid wants to express his voice, but when he's shy, or I know him a little better, so I'm gonna, it gave me specific ways to guide him and have him give that input, right? So again, it was just being able to have the buy-in, with from all the site supervisors, because they are key. They Once they go back to each site, if you don't have the buy-in from one site supervisor, that site's going to suffer, right? The other piece was, on-site support, right? Being able, again, through, we had everybody do the strengths assessment, and we knew the strengths of site supervisors. It gave me and the other program supervisor, information on how to better support this site supervisor. So again, it was through Thrively and that we were able to do this. But again, it was being able to provide these key trainings and be able to provide follow-up trainings, and then be able to have open conversation, without judgment, without, like Miss Laura mentioned, without, oh no, you got to do it, whether you like it or not, it was just being able to have that open forum and be able to have everybody provide their input. And um and and it's and it's not all nice and easy. Everybody ran with it. It was good. You have some that were, technically, the technology was a little scary for certain site supervisors. So okay, let's provide some support in that area. And then once they got a hang of it, okay, it wasn't so bad, right? So a lot of that, the training was for, we broke it down. We would do the site supervisor, which is the leadership. And then we broke down the trainings. We would then bring back the frontline staff and then did the training for them. We did the culture of action, which is the first training, the key training. And then we brought them back and did, the training on how to navigate Thrively, what's on Thrively, where's the scope of sequence, what if this is the first time I use it, and it's showing them, like Miss Laura said, even if you have a sub, it's plug and play. You turn it on. Oh, I go here. Okay, here's an activity that I can do with other kids. Most of the students already know where to go. You just tell them, okay, you have some time, log in and do the activity that was assigned to you. So I think it was key breaking it down, to being able to provide to the different levels. And also the key was to meet everybody where they were at, and not expect everybody to be, move as fast as everyone else, move as, it was meeting everybody where they were at, and being able to provide that support to where they were at, and build their confidence, build their capacity. And again, with Thrively, knowing their strengths and knowing what their interests were, that also helped to be able to provide support to the staff. And so it was just a complete circle with being able to use Thrively not only for the students but for the staff. And as I have on there, it kind of became our magic wand, right? It became like, okay, usually you say, well, if I had a magic wand, I would do it and give you what you wish for. Well, this was as close as you can get to having that magic wand and saying, oh, it's right here on Thrively. Oh, you can't find it here. And I think the other big piece that really, really helped was having the technical support. If it was something technical, they call, and either Garish or somebody from Triley would get on and help them and guide them through that, and let them know why it wasn't working or where to find something that they couldn't find. So it's just breaking everything down and providing the specific trainings, the specific support, and meet everybody where they were at.
Thank you. Thank you. And I actually had the opportunity to go to one of your trainings, and um, I have to give you many credits because you did an amazing job of just modeling walking through a lesson with all of your staff. And um, I believe the lesson was just, looking at your own strengths. And it was interesting because I was at a table with some of the site supervisors. It was interesting to hear their responses to how do you view yourself. So it was impactful for me to just see, how this can be done in after school and just continuing to model and make those connections. So amazing, amazing job.
Well, yeah, thank you. And I think that was the key. And usually it's always the key is when we do the trainings as model and take them through, we're doing this because this is what it should look like when you take it back with your staff. And
Yeah.
then if you're doing it with the students, this is what it should look like when the students are doing it. So it was key. And I'm happy to hear that you were able to experience that, right? Because you always, I always tell them to either go and sit on a student desk and watch one of your staff do the activity, because now you're seeing it through the student's eyes, and you can say, "Ooh, you know what? We're sitting too long," or "You know what? You did awesome. You had us moving. You had us right." And it's the only way to be able to is to be able to see what they're going through, is you got to be able to be in their shoes and go through that process. Well, thank you. I'm glad that I was able to, and that was the whole goal, to get you to think and see and reflect and go back and feel the activity as if you were a student,
Yeah.
and at the same time an adult, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, it was a learning opportunity for me, and I know everyone around me as well. And I think that's where the power lies is, bringing us back to what the student's perspective and really looking at, what is good modeling? How can we make this happen? How can we really connect people to what we're doing? So that's amazing. Um, I wanted to quickly ask just what advice you'd give another site leader or supervisor who's just getting started or even wants to take their like after school program to the next level.
as we have mentioned through the whole time, I mean, is meet everybody where they're at,
Mm,
know your staff. So I would suggest, if you're getting Thrively, have them do the strength assessment. Yes, it's student based, but it still gives you the same information, and it gives you that information to know your staff a little deeper, and also structure. Make sure that structure is there, regardless if it's moving from homework to snack to an activity, but structure is key. And then also using Thrively, getting to know Thrively. It took us a while to get to know Thrively and everything. Like I said, that all the input from all the site supervisors, hear everybody's voice, hear what they're sharing now, what's working, what's not working, problem solve together. That's the way you get the buy-in. That they see the and then that they see the results
mm,
from using Thrively, and how it's going to help make everything easier, and the why. Why we're doing this, why we're here. What's the purpose of your program. Drill, why the program is there.
mm,
Some, no matter if it's 10-year staff, 25-year staff, sometimes you've been there so long that you kind of, you're just going through the motions. So it's going back and drilling why we're here. And I think back to like you were saying, the trainings make them to where you're modeling what it's supposed to look like, but also that there it that it that it hits a button to trigger, to say, oh, that's right, I am making a difference in a student's life. you know I let them know, some of you are new, you know, but some of you have been here, like myself, and I've had the opportunity to have kids who later became adults and actually came back and thank me and thank our staff, and then also say, my kid is here because you were here when I was here, and I love the program, and I love the way that you treated me as a kid. You heard me, you respected me, you were firm, but my kid is here because of you. So those, some staff come and go, but some stay long enough to be able to see that, and that's more rewarding than anything that you'll ever experience. Another thing with Thrively is involve all the stakeholders. We use the data, involve all the stakeholders, involve the parents, involve the teachers, involve the principal. We have monthly principal meetings. We shared with them, how we were using Thrively, the data, the strains, and they actually came back and said, "Oh, I'm gonna have to talk to my assistant too, because we need this at this school. I need this program to be able to provide better, better support for my students." So involve the principals. If you have meetings with them, share it with them. Uh, Photos, put them everywhere. Posters, put them everywhere. Visuals, like Miss Laura has in that room, put them in your meeting rooms. You need visuals everywhere for constant reminder for not only the students, but also the staff. Just visuals everywhere. Newsletters, put it in your newsletters. If you're doing newsletters to your staff, to the parents, mention it on there. Parent conferences, if you do parent conferences, start with the strengths. Our staff start with that, and some of the parents will come back and say, "Oh, Miss Laura, I didn't know you knew my kid that well. I didn't even know him that well." Hey, wow. So it's it's just amazing. It's in getting the word out. One time a site supervisor called me and was all excited. "Oh, look, I'm doing all these great things," and she was right. And I said, "Do me a favor, go ask the teachers, go ask the principal, and talk to parents." She came back. She was bummed. She's like, "Nobody knew." I go, "Yeah." I go, "So until you make that and make sure everybody's aware, look, we're doing Thrively and this is what it does. Here's how great it is. Here's how it's supporting the students. Then everybody knows. Then you can say everybody knows and is aware of this great program and how it's just supporting our students and building their self-esteem, building their identity, just creating stronger students and building their character. It's the only way to go. Lessons learned, best practices. When people share out, no matter if it's good or bad, let them share out, and then talk about it and see why didn't it work. If it did work, have somebody else try it. It's again, it's talking about it, and putting it into action. And that's why the key first training is a culture of action, is because if you don't implement it, you're never going to know, right? Some of your staff, if you know your team, will come back and say, "I did it," and they probably did a little bit, not enough. So it's going back, "Okay, what did you do? Let's talk about it." And it's that constant communication, and the consistency. And then once they start seeing the results, just like the students, they'll come back and they'll thank you. They say, "Man, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do this 10 years ago?" Right, Miss Laura? Say, "Why didn't we do this? Why so long ago? Why did we have to wait when my life is so much easier?"
Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think you did an amazing job of just covering, you know, one, just giving everyone a voice, but then just what the impact is. And that's, I think, our goal as educators, people in education. We're constantly reminded of our why, and this is our why. We want to make a difference. So thank you for speaking on that. Um, and just, in connection with Westminster, what we've learned from speaking to people like Peter and Laura and Cleo, we've learned a lot from them on just, what content makes connections and team building activities. So we're really looking at refining and enhancing our content to better engage students. We're looking at, after school content just to deepen the curriculum. So just giving you all a heads up. So this, we're going to be including a lot more team building activities, challenges, and other exciting elements designed specifically to keep after school learning dynamic and meaningful. So we're going to be sending out a resource later on with this. Well, we are a little over time. Sorry, everyone. If you're interested in learning more about asset-based learning and strengths-based education, we encourage you just stay connected with Thrively through our social media channels, email, websites. Connect with us. We have our LinkedIn page, our Facebook community, Twitter, our website. We have a lot of free resources, research updates, and then implementation strategies to support your strengths-based journey. And just like we had Peter and Laura on here today, we have additional webinars of people who are in the schools and really making an impact. And they're talking through what's happening on campus and how they're implementing on at their school or district. If you're looking for our next webinar, it's going to be May 13th. We're going to be diving into early childhood education and how we utilize Thrively. Again, we have our chat that's going to be, our link that's going to be in the chat coming out. Just if you would like to try to, get a free piloting Thrively account, you just connect us with your principal. You have the chance to win. You'll get the chat in just a second. And then just thank you again for giving us some of your time today. We hope you found this session insightful, that it challenged your thinking and just is going to impact your professional practices. And thank you, Peter and Laura. This has been amazing just to work with you both, collaborate with you, and then be able to really showcase what you have been doing at Westminster. So thank you.